Hello, and welcome to Freedom with Marketing. I'm Sam, the founder of Freedom with Marketing, and welcome to the Life, Leadership and Business Skills playlist. This playlist has been designed where I share my stories and experiences from life and from my passion and hobby of long distance running, and to extrapolate some of the lessons I've had and a lot of the mistakes that I've made along the way, sharing them with you so you can then apply these same lessons in different areas of your life and business to avoid making the same mistakes as I did. This video is about why you should never judge people based on what they look like, what they say from their mouth, and why you should always make your decisions based on what someone actually does and their performance that you can measure in an objective way rather than going by someone else's opinions. So let me share with you a story where I made this mistake in a somewhat catastrophic way, and looking back now, I have to admit I'm a little bit ashamed of what I did, but I have learned from the experience, I've grown from the experience, and it's something that I don't want to make the same mistake again. So a while back I did a relatively short trail run. It was only about 14 kilometers in total. It was a small loop with about 1,000 meters of climbing, and at the starting line I was there, ready. I was using it as a training run for an upcoming longer race. I was standing at the starting line feeling very confident in myself because this is a shorter run, and I looked around and I saw someone there. He was wearing shorts and he had a buttoned shirt on, a long sleeve buttoned shirt. And I looked at this guy and thought, why are you running with a buttoned up shirt on? Because I thought to myself that this person clearly doesn't have a clue. Clearly he's just been asked to do it with his friends. And I sort of shook my head dismissively at him. Turns out during the run he finished before I did. So clearly he has some kind of experience, and I then saw this same person in a 50-kilometer run a few months later, and to the best of my knowledge he performed well and finished the race. When I saw him the second time on the longer distance, he was wearing better sort of running gear, so clearly he learned the same mistake. And before I did a recent 100k run, I was out training on the hills nearby to where I live. And I actually bumped into this same person right there with some of his other friends, and I got talking to them, and he was doing the same race that I did. And to the best of my knowledge, he finished. I bumped into him during the 100-kilometer route, and I told him good luck. I didn't see him again, which would only suggest that he probably finished ahead of me. And all of this, 7-8 months previous, was I looked at him wearing a buttoned up shirt to do a run and thinking this guy doesn't have a clue. How is he going to finish this run? And looking back, clearly I was in the wrong for thinking that. Clearly I was in the wrong for having such a dismissive thought about him. And he actually went on to achieve some pretty good results in running. And I wish him all the best after speaking to him. He's actually a really nice person. He doesn't speak much English, so we have to communicate in my limited skills of the local language and his limited English, but we could. And like I said, he's a great guy. And the lesson that I can extract from that is that looking at him and how he dressed at the starting line is not the way that he would dress to do any kind of a run. Now, there could have been 1,000,001 reasons why he chose to dress like that on that day, but I was not aware of. And I was just simply projecting my own expectations onto someone else. And this never works in real life. It's something that I've been working on to try to avoid for many years, especially as I get more and more experience dealing with different people in different situations, and when I'm in a leadership role in my own business. But sometimes things like that slip through the net. So I want you to take away the lesson here that just because someone does not conform to your expectations of what they should, it doesn't mean that they are wrong. It doesn't mean that they won't perform. It doesn't mean they won't do what they are supposed to do at a high level of skills, experience and ability. It just simply means that there's a reason that they decided to do something differently that you are not aware of. Everyone has a unique situation, everyone's life is different, everyone's circumstances are different. So what might work for one person might not work for another. And that is a super, super powerful lesson that you can learn when you're dealing with different people. Now, in the context of business, what is super important here is that you need to understand how the sales process typically works. And a lot of emphasis, time, resources go into converting a new prospect into a client. So often you will feel like the person you're communicating with in business has your best interests in mind. They're making you feel excited about the outcome that you're going to get if you buy the product or service. They're talking about all these things that your future life could be, how you won't have the same problems anymore, and all of these different things. But the reality is, in this situation, that they are incentivized to make that first sale, especially if it's a high-priced offer where they earn commission. And just because someone in this process seems friendly, likable, you seem to have rapport with them, that it doesn't necessarily mean that the outcome that you're going to receive is what they promised, because what their incentives are. And whenever it comes to sales training, that a lot of the time you are taught how to connect with the person you're speaking to, how to build rapport with them, and all of these other things, so that your experience while communicating with them is positive, which will make it more likely that you will buy from them. So in a scenario like this, just because it seems like you have a connection with the person you're talking to, be aware that deep psychology is at play in order to make you feel like that, so that you can so that you will buy from them. So the lesson here would be that what I have personally learned is that during the process of working with a new agency or buying a product or service, that use your gut feeling and your intuition about whether it's a good decision or not. So recently I was trying to find a new coach for my own business, and this company came as a referral from someone who I trust a lot. And I started to communicate with the COO, and long story short, one, he did not read my email where I outline what I want. Two, on two individual occasions, he cancelled the initial call with me, maybe 6 hours before we were scheduled to do it. Well, that's not a problem for him, but it is a problem for me when I'm asleep, when I get the notification that he's not going to be on the call because something more important has turned up for him. And it basically means that I go to bed planning the following day based around the call, to wake up only to find that the call's been cancelled and then having to reschedule my day, which is a problem for me. And all of these sort of little warning signs for me, it gave me the impression that you did not respect me or my time or my situation enough to read the message and what I need, and to actually sort of connect with me at a time that we agree on without cancelling late. And so all of these small signs that I picked up on intuitively completely went against their entire marketing and the way that they present themselves. So if I were to ignore my own gut feeling and my intuition, and I would have proceeded with them, I may have been very disappointed in the outcome that I got, despite investing a lot of money. And the same is true in a scenario, the same is true for you too, that whenever you want to work with a new agency, a new service provider, you want to buy a high-priced offer that can help you improve in whatever area of life or business you want to, be aware that the outward way that the company positions themselves is purely as a way to get you to become a customer or client in the first time. Just because everything is fancy and just because everything looks amazing, they have all these testimonials, it might not be right for you. And it's down to you to make the right decision based on your own gut feeling, what you think is right for you, and to be aware that what you see on the surface may not reflect what actually happens in reality. In the same way that me seeing a person running in a long sleeve shirt gave me a negative impression, but it turns out a few months later he probably finished a race in less time than me. So never judge a book by its cover. I hope you found this lesson valuable. I hope you can use this to your advantage when you do start to work with service providers and agencies, and I hope you can apply it. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you for your time and attention. See you in the next video.